In today's video, we are going to perform an installation of SQL Server 2022 Preview RC1 on Linux. So in the previous video, we had an installation on Windows using multiple drives. So in this video, we're gonna perform similar, but this time it's on Linux. And similar as the Windows installation. So we're going to download the install packages and then upload the install packages to the DB server. And in this demo environment, I have a server name, host name, it is 08. It's running Oracle Linux 8. So that is belong to the Red Hat family. I'm going to use the user root for the installation. Also on this system, I prepared a multiple file systems that is for distributed database into different file systems. That is very similar to on Windows, you create multiple drives and then you locate the user data, user log into different drive. This is going to be the same. So the install is going to be an offline install, or you can, if you can just write a script, you can do this like called unattended install. So, and after you install, we're going to do a connection test. We're also going to set up some customization after the installation using the MS SQL conf. So this demo is going to be to share some real-world example. Because in the current on the internet, if you look at the people publish the Linux, SQL Server on Linux, primarily people following the Microsoft document. That is the basic install, basically no customization. So if you run SQL Server on Linux in the real world, you definitely is going to, after the installation, you will do some customization. In this video, we're going to primarily on how you like set the multiple drives or file systems in the Linux world and distribute the data into a different location. All right, so let's get started. So on the top, I have basically the script or document I'm going to follow. On the lower window, it says the command window. I'm going to run all this command, okay? Before do that, I have to do a cleanup first, okay? Let me do a quick cleanup, okay? So I need to remove the previous install, okay? Okay, so this is the previous install. I'm gonna need to remove it. So the also some old files over there. Okay. All right. So it's ready for us to install. So as I said, we first need to download the Microsoft SQL Server packages. So here's the location. And typically you download your local machine. It's a packages, Microsoft.com, you know, and you can find from the release notes about the where the package is, and you pick up whatever version you want. But we pick up this one, 16.0. This is the version 2022. And also this package we already downloaded on this machine. So we're gonna So this step is already done. Okay. So let me show you the packages, about 200 megabytes. So here it is. So this is the one we downloaded, the most recent one. So you can download whichever one you want, okay? And after that, so we're gonna do a local install. So this is the command we're gonna use, okay? yum or DNF, local install -y, that means you can just, you don't have to be asked for to give yes or no answer to this installer, okay? Followed by the RPM package. So I'm gonna just run this, okay? It just take a few 10 seconds. It's going to be, because this is local, you see. So this is the dependency, the packages. So it's going to be installed on the machine. After that, so we're going to run, typically, if you follow the Microsoft document, you're going to just run this msconf, right? And then give whatever command, whatever input they ask. So in this demo, I've defined some variables. So in this way, I don't need to provide those information. So this can be used in the future to, if you write a script or use like unattended install. So that's the software is installed. So now we're gonna do the configuration. Okay. So let's do that. It says, okay, you need a password. Okay, let's set the password first before we run this command. So this is the SA password. Okay, so then we're gonna run this command. If you run this MS SQL conf interactively, it's fine. You can ask you accept the Microsoft terms, license term, and so on and so forth. All right, this is the SQL Server is ready to be connected. Okay, let's do a check. So you can see the SQL Server process is running. This is the two processes running, right? And also, and if you do the systemctl, so you will see the CTL status and SQL Server. That is okay. So you see it's running. So now you can connect. Okay. So I'm going to do a remote connect using the SSMS because in this way it's easy sometimes to look at certain things. Okay, you can connect local as well. Let me do the remote connect first. Okay, so this is the server name, SA, this is the password. Okay, so I'm going to connect. Now I see it's connected, right? So let's do a property. So you will see it's the Linux. This is the version, and so on and so forth. Or Oracle Linux 8.6. Okay, so this is a remote connection. If you want to do local connection, then you can use the SQL CMD. In my case, because I already have this SQL CMD installed, so I can just go ahead to do the connection. So early we set the password is this one, right? So Microsoft, whatever password, as long as it's complicated enough, you can use to do the connection. Okay. So if we do a check the version, you will see it's a typo. So let's see version. So let's do a quick. Okay, so it is Microsoft 2022 RC1, published the September. So developer edition and on Oracle Linux. Okay, so this is the one we just installed. Let me go back to the SSMS to do some something and see what is the. Let me just go to the property. So do some basic check. So this is the general thing. Let's go to the memory. So this is the memory setting. It's very much like the Windows. Let's go to the database setting. So from database settings here, you notice the default location for data, log, and backup. They are graded out. This is the difference between Linux versus Windows. Okay, so of course we don't want everything under the same directory or folder. So after the install, if you run for the real world system, definitely is going to change this location to a different location. Okay, so let's see. From my demo system, I already prepared the file system. So let me do a df -h. So I prepared like 4 file systems. So these 4 file systems, one I will be used for DB backup, one it is for the user database data, and the user database log, and the temp DB. So I have 4 separate file systems to hold those data files. Okay, and by default, every time when you do the install, so Microsoft is created on the put everything on the /var/opt and ms this folder. Okay, then if you look at the folder, you will see, okay, all the system database is created on this location. You see the model, master, temp, and ms. Okay, so typically we can leave those in this location. If you want to move to a different location, you can do it as well. Just but that is not the focus for this demo. So in this demo, I'm going to move temp DB to a different location. I'm also going to set. Let me see here. I'm also going to change the default location to a different location. Okay. So in this way, when you create a user database, they will look landed to a different location, and that is for better performance, better management, and best practice. Because typically, in the Linux system, the /var is quite small. You don't want everything in the same location. Also, you don't want the backup location in the default location, like the data directory. Okay, so we're going to change. All right, so let me cancel this. Go back to this document. So to make a change is fairly simple. Basically, you're going to use the msconf, that is the similar like Windows configuration manager. This is the equivalent, okay? But on Linux, it's primarily command line, so you're going to use this msconf set file location and default data location, then followed by the directory where it is you're going to allocate this default data directory. Okay, so let's copy and run this command. Okay, before I run that, make sure. Let's do a ls. You will find. Okay, so make sure those directories you're gonna used by SQL Server engine is owned by this user, either by owned this user or have full access to those directory or file system. You see the one I created here, DB backup, is owned by MF's user, temp DB, user data, and the user log. Okay, but in the real world, this thing's going to be created by system admin. So you just ask, when the server is built, you will ask to see build separate drives, and then assign the ownership to this user. Okay. The only thing is probably this user doesn't exist. You might have to need to pre-create this user if you want. Okay. But anyway, so let's just go ahead. So I'm going to run this command. So it says we need to restart the service. Okay. So because I want to 3, so I will restart the server after set this 3 default location. Okay. So after we run this, okay, now we need to restart the MySQL Server MS SQL service. So one thing we can check it is when you run those commands, they will put an entry in a config file. Okay, you can take a look at this config file. It's in the /var/opt mssql. It's with it's called name mssql.com. You see here. So when we just installed, this is the engine there. When we run this command, they put these 3 variables and also the value. So this is like parameters and value. So this is, in order this to take effect, you have to bounce the engine. Okay, so we can restart this engine, take effect. Okay, so let's do it. And you can check the status. You see it's active running. Now let's go back to the SSMS. Okay, so let me disconnect first. So let's reconnect. Database engine, connect. Let's go back to the properties. Okay. Now let's go to the database engine. Now you see everything changed, right? So they changed the default data log and also the backup. Okay. So now if I create a database, so those user database is going to go to that location. Otherwise, they're going to go to, if by default we create a database, they're going to be in this location, right? So if we haven't changed this yet, everything is going to be created in this location. So that is what we don't want. We want to create it into separate folder. Okay, so let's see. We did user data. Right now it's empty. There's no. So let's do create a database. Okay, so I'm going to use the GUI to create the database. So let's do a quick database creation. So let's see, create new database. So let's call it test. Okay, so we're gonna test. Okay, so actually when if you look at the file, it's already showed the path. Okay, so let's just create it. So the database created. Now if we examine, the database log is created in this location, and the data file is created in this location. Okay, so that is basically we want. And then if we do a backup, let's do a backup. Okay, so we're going to do a backup. Let's see, we're going to database. Let's see, this is the test database. So we're gonna do a task. Okay, we're gonna do a backup. So when we do the backup, you see the default to this location. So that is convenient. Similar, if you do the restore, they also look at this location. Okay, so let me just do a okay. So successful. Let's see. DB backup. All right, so you see we have a backup called test back is there. Okay, so that is otherwise if we not to do the customization, everything is going to be here. Okay, it's going to be messy. You have user data, user log, system data, system log, and also the temp DB. Okay, so that is we're almost done with this demo. So basically, we want to customize our system using different folder or different file system. Okay, and before we end this session, I'm also going to want to relocate those temp file to a different location. Okay, because I don't want temp file sit with the system database and also the user. So typically you can just write a script. So here is my script. I just wrote a small quick script. So and people do things differently. You can do whatever you like and to generate a script. So I'm going to generate a script. So I run this script to generate a SQL like this. You can save this SQL statement to a script, then run this. Like if you do like unattended, you can do like this, okay? But in this demo, I'm going to just run it interactively. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to run from the SSMS, okay? So let's see, new query. After that, you run this command, you need to bounce the instance, okay? Let's see, paste. All right, let me make it a little bit bigger. I don't know why they are like that. Okay, here it is. So let me run it, okay? This is first time running, it's hopefully successful. There's a syntax error. Let's see. For the database tempdb modify file name tempdb /temp. Well, it looks like let's see. There's a syntax error. Let me see what is the problem. Give me a sec, let me fix it, okay? All right, found it. I'm missing a keyword file name, okay? So I regenerated this. It is regenerated this the move command. So let me go to the use SSMS sometimes handy than the command line. Okay, so on Linux you probably would like to just use both SSMS and SQLCMD. So unless you're fully comfortable with SSMS, because sometimes due to firewall or some other issues, you may not have the SSMS access. So let's try one more time. All right, it's successful. So we basically move the temp DB from a default location to this location, okay? So let me exit my session. So I'm gonna bounce the instance, okay? before do that, let's check one more time. So this is the default location. So we're gonna restart the engine, okay? Restart. Okay. Now let's look at the temp location. That is where we put, okay, temp location. Okay, here it is. It's there. Let's see if it's still there in the yeah. The old one is still in the default location. We can remove it. Okay. So everything should work as expected. Let's go back to let me disconnect first. Database engine connect. All right, we reconnect. Let's go to database. Let's go to tempdb property. All right, let's see files. Now you see everything is relocated in this location. Okay, tempdb location, and this is the file name. And at this moment, it should be in pretty good shape, you know. So basically, we have user data in this location. They are separated. Also, there's some other things you may want to do is, for example, for customization, you may want to enable SQL agent. You may set the memory limit because on the Linux, Microsoft introduced these parameters to set the a bar like limit for the memory usage. Not like in the Windows. In the Windows, you can have min max memory setting. On Linux, you also have this one, but they have another one above it. Okay, it's something. But in general, for the Linux, it's relative simpler. You see, only few things you can change. Okay, and also for the firewall, you can change the firewall setting to see which port you're gonna use to open. And use the MS SQL conf, you can also change whatever port you want the SQL Server to listen. Okay. So yeah, that is the demo I'm planned for this one. Mainly focus on the file location. Okay, non-default file location. All right, it's a little bit long.